What's up, everybody? This is Jeremy from Octane TV. We want to start this episode by saying I hope you guys are prepared and you got a lot of popcorn for this series. These episodes of this particular vehicle are going to be some of the absolute spiciest videos you're going to watch. I can honestly say that this was the most stressful time I've ever had in over 25 years of buying cars. So let me tell you guys, this car, this 2018 Orange Fury Mustang MT82 PP1 car, by far almost put me in the hospital. And I'm not even joking, I'm not even exaggerating, I'm not even lying. I have went through more stress and more anguish with this one car than I have any other car I have ever purchased. So stay tuned for this video. You're not gonna wanna miss all this craziness. I can promise you that. Let me start this series out by saying this is going to probably be one of the most drama-filled episodes that you will see come out of this whole entire series. This car by far is the magical unicorn that got me. It almost put me in the hospital, almost got me from not wanting to do cars ever again. I can tell you that right now, 100%. This car almost 100% burned me out to where I didn't even want to do cars anymore. And I'm dead serious with you. I had drove down to Kentucky after searching with CarMax on the black MT82 car that we showed you in the previous episodes. We could not find an orange one for a price that I wanted to pay. It was all over $40,000. I found a 2018 MT82 PP1 car that supposedly had wheels and some other mods to it for $37,000, which was only $6,000 more than the MT82 car that I purchased from CarMax. And I'm like, wow, $37,000? Little did I know it was even a premium car, premium digital dash car. So I'm like, whoa, like $6,000 more and I get digital dash premium, already got wheels. I mean, I'm like, wow, this is a deal that I can't, and it's the exact color that I want. At the time I wasn't a fan of the PP1 wing, but I'm like, I don't care, I can change the wing. It's not a big deal to me. So I drove 3.5 hours down past Lexington to take a look at this car at a dealership called Bob Allen. And when I get there, to my surprise, which shouldn't have been to my surprise, I've been to Kentucky 1,000 times, there was no sports cars in this lot. It was 90% trucks, 5% sedans, and like 5% or less sports cars. There was hardly any sports cars in this lot, and that should have been a dead ringer for me. I pull up to the dealership. I brought one of my really good friends, rest in peace, Wiley. He went with me, great guy. And we both looked at the car. We loved the car. I mean, it was such a beautiful color with the orange with the gold pearl. There was nothing about it I didn't like. I'm like, man, it's already got wheels on it. I mean, this thing is just awesome. Like, it was every single thing that I had wanted in a car, to be honest with you. And I'm like, I don't want to miss this opportunity. So I asked him to take it for a test drive. Where it got ugly was I started the car up and it was so loud. And I'm like, what is done to this car? I asked the sales guy, and he was a younger guy. I'm like, what is done to this car, man? And he's like, I don't know, it's just really loud. We think maybe it has a muffler or exhaust on it. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't know. I was very naive. I didn't know a whole lot about Mustangs. I've been doing some research after I bought the black car, but I just wasn't knowledgeable enough to know what all mods were done to these cars, what the differences are. The only thing I had read was that if you had a Gen 3 car, not a Gen 2, if you put an intake or you put any mods on these cars, they had to be tuned. That was the only thing that I knew. So I asked the guy straight up, I'm like, I went back, I popped the hood, and I noticed I had a JLT intake on it. And I'm like, if it's got an intake on it, it's got to be tuned. So I asked the guy, I asked the salesperson, I'm like, is this car tuned? He's like, I don't know. He's like, we bought the car, the guy traded it in, you know, we don't know. We don't know much about it. And I'm like, that seems awfully weird. You didn't ask him any questions about a car that you're going to pay this kind of money for? I mean, the sticker was still on this car. The sticker from where it had been made or, you know, assembled, it was like almost a $50,000 Mustang. I mean, that's an expensive Mustang in my opinion. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll kind of look around, but I didn't know what to look for. So when they sit down with me to talk about numbers, they offered me an extended warranty. I did not want to buy it. It was like in between $5,000 and $7,000 between gap insurance and the extended warranty. I'm not really a big warranty person, but I figured, you know what? I mean, on a car like this, I better get it. And they assured me that the Ford warranty was still available because it had 20,000 miles on it and it was only a year or two old. They also assured me that the extended warranty would pick up anything that the factory warranty would not pick up. And this is pre-COVID. So understand, this is pre-COVID. So I'm like, okay, you know, I got 2 warranties. I'm double protected. It's like double going at it. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I'm like, what could go wrong? I've got 2 warranties on it. Well, I did not know that the car was heavily modded. Like when I mean modded, I mean it was modded, and I didn't know that. Only thing I could visually see was the intake. So I had the car shipped up to Indiana because I could not drive the car home because we had to wait on the financing to go through since the black car was still not dropped off my credit. So I told him that I would put a deposit down, which I did. And I said, once the black car situation gets resolved, and I didn't want to have somebody drive me all the way back down there, I'm like, I'll just have you guys, you know, pre-COVID drive the car up to me and drop it off. And he agreed to do that. And I was like, okay, awesome. So they drove the car all the way up to me. They drove the car, I mean, it was a lot of miles. I mean, it's 3.5 hours. So when I got the car and I took it on a test drive, I didn't drive it very far because I didn't, you know, I don't like driving very far out in the country or I don't know where I'm at. When I got it and I had to drive it, they met me on the north side and I had to drive to the south side where I lived. I don't remember why they had to meet me on the north side. I can't remember what it was, but they had to meet me on the north side for some weird reason. So I met them there. And when I went to click it into gear, it kept like locking me out or grinding really bad. And I'm like, maybe it's just the way the car is. I'm like, no big deal. You know, I don't know much about these cars, but maybe it's just the way it is. And it drove fine other than just every time I would try to put it in second, third, or fourth, it would always like grind a little bit, hesitate a little bit. It just didn't feel smooth. Like I'm used to driving cars that have smooth transmissions like M3s and Hondas. Those cars just shift like butter. So this car was a little bit weird on shifting and I didn't know why. The other main concern I had was this thing was so freaking loud. I mean, it was ungodly loud. So I took it back to my shop and I started looking over the car, taking pictures, sending them to my buddies. And my buddies were like, look and see if the car has an exhaust in it. Come to find out, it had a Corsa exhaust and it had a Roush, I think a Roush, or I can't remember the brand, full catback. And I'm like, what the heck? And then I look underneath and the car had headers. It had full Corsa headers on it. I'm like, wow. I mean, that's a lot of money. That was great for me. I'm like, wow, I got a car that's fully modded with all this money on it. But little did I know what was going to end up happening. So I drove the car from the north side to the south side to my house. I took some pictures of it, drove it around a little bit, you know, kind of cruised it for a minute, but didn't do much with the car.